Is anyone else feeling nervous today? Anyone else feeling nervous or just me? Okay, good, we're nervous. Yes. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about staying curious and creative for connection in a world that's quick to cancel. As a dating doula and matchmaker who is a sensitive human, I notice a connection between our isolation and cancel culture. Long ago, on Valentine's Day 2013, I walked into a party, a game housewarming party, with these heart-shaped glasses that one of my students made me, and I made some new friends. One of them was a very tall man with a bun. He's sitting in the front row right now. His name is Adam. And we started connecting. I started inviting this group of people to come to my house and come to the next thing, and we exchanged these nice long messages. I had a book of 4,000 questions that I told I was not afraid to use, so I just kept question after question. And at the end of one of these long threads, I asked him out. And he never responded to that. Has that ever happened to anyone in this room? Raise your hand if you've asked someone out. Yeah, okay. It's hard, yeah? And your friends, they want to protect you. They want to make sure that you know that you're awesome, so they might try and vilify the other person and build up walls and tell you, this person is not good enough for you, Rachel. Don't give him another shot. But I chose to be a little bit more playful and not vilify him yet. And so instead, I asked him to dress up like a pirate for a kid that I was hanging out with. I said, I'll be at your house in 10 minutes to return the cast iron pan that you left at the brunch that was too overwhelming to stay at because he was an introvert and I was an extrovert, and we just had kind of different lives at that time. So he said, luckily, that's a tall order, but I'm a tall man, so you got yourself a deal. And this child, Masai, and myself fell in love on the spot that day. I was like, this is a place that we would never have gotten to had I been grilling you over tea. We would have found things that didn't match. We would have, seen our differences and not seen the way he could become a person that changes the world for a kid, for someone else. And that's why I've been inspired to try and create situations where we can see different sides of people, multidimensional ways that they serve. They speak to others with kindness, which makes them, a more attractive, complex human. But being out of control is uncomfortable. Who can relate to that? Yeah, big time. Even after I fell hard for the pirate man, we continued to text, and it was slow, and I am fast, and he was slow, and it was so uncomfortable, so outside of my comfort zone, that I almost called it off again. Luckily, this time, I spoke these feelings out loud to my family, and for once, they pushed me in the direction of being generous of spirit and not giving up. Have you ever prematurely ended a relationship or an opportunity because of that discomfort, that feeling of, I don't know and I don't like this? Raise your hand if you've been there. Yeah, so many times. Mostly this one, though. My family looked at our messages and they said, Rachel, he is reading you. You are looking for fast food, but he's a gourmet meal. And read between the lines, slow down. Pay attention. Notice the details. And I am so grateful that someone pushed me towards that rather than cutting him off and canceling and saying that this person is not deserving of the amazingness that you are. Someone pushed me towards curiosity rather than judgment. How do we move towards connection in a world that's bankrupt of trust? There are so many reasons our trust has been destroyed through our government, people that have taken from us, people that steal things off of our porches. There's just so many ways we've been let down by the world, right? There was a song that I was really into when I was a kid, probably like middle school, and it goes like this. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Thank you. And so I relate that to this because I think that we want to be in these healthy, nourishing, beautiful, strong relationships full of trust and depth, but we don't always want to take the baby steps of getting there. I live in a world where I see cancel culture, and that makes me afraid to be me and make mistakes and be messy and be human. And I've watched so many beautiful, tender, amazing people that share their lives with the world who get mean comments and just get this pushback, and I hate it. And as a matchmaker, I'm so sensitive to that and rejection, and I'm like, how can we change this so we don't have to be like that, where we can give people a little bit more space to show us who they are? And what do we have control of? I'm here today to be a mentor and a fellow journeyer on the path towards better relationships. I believe that it's okay to navigate clunky beginnings and ask for what we need, and we can practice that in really small ways. We don't need perfection. We need presence and willingness to have reflective conversations. We have to be willing to make mistakes. I remember several years ago reading this article about rugged hospitality. It's about having people into your house to share a meal, even when your house is a mess. And every time I'm trying to clean up for company, my partner Adam reminds me of that. And he's like, we don't need to clean. But I'm like, sometimes I want to clean a little bit, but it doesn't have to be perfect, right? We want to allow people to see us, to hear our vulnerabilities, to know what is sensitive, which parts of us are tender, and I think it all relates. We also, by giving that grace to others, allow the world to be more safe and graceful for ourselves to show up with our imperfection, our humanness. Okay, y'all. We have to look for what's right and reflect it back to people. Cancel culture is fueling a loneliness epidemic. When we cut people out instead of calling them in or sharing our truth, we lose the chance for growth, repair, and real connection. Sometimes it is totally necessary to cut someone out. I get it, but I think there's a lot of opportunities where we prematurely cut a cord that could be redeemed, could be stretched in a different way. And to me, practicing speaking our truth and staying in it instead of avoiding, shutting, pushing people out, shows that we give a damn, and that's really important to me. As a parent, as a foster parent, as a partner, as a friend, if I take the time to pull someone aside, or if one of my friends does that for me, like, hey, this is how you can love me better, it feels like they care. They're not just letting it go. I remember once a friend canceled plans, and I was all like, no worries, but I felt like the realer way I could have approached that was saying, I'm really sad to miss out on this time with you, and it's okay. I didn't. I regretted it. We kind of went different ways. But I'm like, had I spoken up my truth in that moment, we might be closer today than, I allowed it to just be gone. And sometimes we have to do that. We're busy humans. But I think there's chances to be a little bit more vulnerable in relationships and share how we feel. The best I've ever felt in relationships is when someone loved me enough to pull me aside and tell me what I did, how I could love them better. And the safest I've ever felt is when people feel safe to do that with me too. That means they don't have to live in anxiety of wondering, are they mad at me? What did I do wrong? It's like, no, I trust them. They showed up. They told me. They reflected and kind of pushed me into integrity or being better or whatever it was that I was missing, my blind spots, my hope without groundedness. Okay, so has anyone ever followed a stylist, a doctor, anyone that takes good care of you, and you're like, I'll follow you anywhere? Raise your hand. Yeah. I had the coolest experience with my periodontist teeth cleaner. It used to hurt so bad, and I could have just been like, F the dentist, this sucks. But instead, I'm like, hey, This hurts. Can we do something different? And then we tried something different, and she takes notes, and she pays attention, and now I'm like, I love going. I go for she puts a warm towel over my eyes before she gives me 50 shots, and she doesn't use the spray that burns. I'm like, this is a beautiful example of what I want for everyone. Are we able to ask for what we need and see if someone can meet us there? And as an artist, as a co-creator, I think that the most sacred act of co-creation is expanding our capacity to learn and love another deeply and well. Love is a skill, one that we can practice in friendship, in community, how we listen, how we respond, how we show up. And you don't have to be in a romantic relationship to get better at love. Cancel culture hurts everyone, but accountability and growth culture is a brave replacement. So we must be willing to face conflict with mutual accountability to each other's needs. There are times that people won't be able to join us there. It will be just too difficult and foreign for them to imagine how we move towards each other. And in that case, we can change our boundaries without dropping them completely. We can move them out a ring or two. We can choose what we share with them. We can redefine the rhythm. We can honor our capacity without abandoning our own needs. Here's an invitation to make this practical. If you want to work on mending and leaning in and rebuilding a relationship with another person, I like to think about it as nonviolent negotiation. So some of us have heard about nonviolent communication, and I just feel it's one step farther. We use I statements. We try creative third ways. I'm going to get to a few of those in a moment. I hate it when I propose something and I put intention into it and I have a plan and I say, how do you feel about this? And someone just says, no. Offer me something back. If you're my 2-year-old, maybe. But everyone else who's over 20, come on, give me a, no, that doesn't sound good, but how about this? And then we can have a conversation. My good friend, Sister Karita Kent, says, consider everything an experiment. And that is something I love to bring to the table of those searching for their person, looking for love, and just figuring out how we can try out different ways, maybe something out of the box. Maybe the way that you were raised to imagine a relationship looks like this, a couple sharing finances equally, or living under the same roof, or let's see, I have a couple others. But there's ways to reimagine it. In the matchmaking world, I remember hearing a story about this billionaire woman who did not know how to combine finances with someone that made less than her. So the creative solution was maybe they're both putting 5% of their income into a shared account, and then they've got plenty of fun money together, and they still maintain their autonomy separately. I see this a lot with people that are entering the dating world, and they're like, but I like my space, and I like my life, and I don't want to sacrifice all of this for enmeshment with another human. And in that case, I say, they want it too. We are adults, we like our time, we like our rhythms, we like our friends, and we're not leaving that behind to combine and do everything together. Maybe when you're 18, that's how we go, but as adults, we're a little bit more I have passions, these are important. We don't even need to share them. It's actually kind of cool when we don't, because then we have something to talk about when we come back together. So I get to help people rewrite stories in their mind of fears of, I don't know, I really like my friend trips. I'm you got that. You can keep doing that. You do not have to change your whole life for another person. You can adapt, you can be creative, you can let someone in, and you can negotiate nonviolently how you're going to do that. Some of the stories that I've heard of why things won't work. Well, he's such a homebody, and I love to go travel. Great. He's a single dad. It's cheaper and better for everyone if he stays home and you go with your friends and he can stay here and you'll both have the time of your life. Planners versus spontaneous. So if you're someone that's like, I want to go on this date, and the other person's spontaneous, maybe you can block off a time and you say, we know we have this evening carved out. On the day of, we'll decide what we're going to do, what feels right. So it's a continuation of just encouraging people to be curious and ask questions and learn why something matters to that person instead of telling ourselves, because they do this for a living, they could not be interested in me, or they must believe this politically if they are in that field. We don't know their story. People have jobs. Jobs are not us. Let's talk about it. Let's stop making assumptions. So back when I was in college, I did an internship where I got to interview these people in their 90s at a Jewish community center, and I heard story after story after story of people who met at summer camp or at the bowling alley. And I was like, man, I wish those days could exist again. Like, dating and meeting people online is hard. It's hard to see the humanity when you're shopping for a human on an app and deciding exactly what you want. In my matchmaking practice, we're building spaces to practice connection, not performance, to get to know someone slowly with curiosity instead of urgency, because meaningful relationships take time. It's so beautiful to watch relationships bloom when there wasn't instant attraction or chemistry, but it grows. And this is for friendship too. There is someone in this room, the day we met, it was not a match, but over time we got to know each other, and I was like, you're great. I love being friends with you, and now you're one of my best friends. And this goes for family too. Let's make room for more wonder, more slowness, more mindful, playful ways to connect in our families, our partnerships, our solo seasons, our communities, because love is for all of us, and we get better at it together. Please don't give up on the slow burn, the clunky beginning, or the one that needed a little extra time. I'm so glad I didn't sever the ties when I considered it back in 2013, because now this person is my partner in family and in work, and we love learning about each other and trying new things, taking turns with different jobs and figuring out what our rhythm is, and it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. So here's my blessing for anyone trying to stay in connection, trying to choose repair over retreat, trying to believe that conflict does not have to be the end. May you be bold enough to tell your truth gently, soft enough to listen to someone else's, and strong enough to stay curious instead of closing the door. Even in the ache of uncertainty, you are worthy of connection. Deep breath, everybody. Let that sink in. Even in the ache of uncertainty, all of you, all of us, we're worthy of connection. We're built for belonging, and we can do hard things together.